to replace your garbage disposal? If so, you need to consider Laney's for all of your plumbing needs. Our plumbers are courteous, clean, and professional, and you can trust that they will get it done right the first time. So for peace of mind, call us today at 237-0543 or visit us on the web at laneysinc.com.
828 is just great.
Issues that affect us all right here in the FM Metro. This is Talk of the Town with Jon Adams on WDAY Radio.
Hello, Fargo. Welcome to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. As you see, I have on my Viking colors because I think the Vikings are making all the right moves. Other than that, Matt Barkley. That's not even who they got. I can't remember the quarterback's name. Anyway, welcome to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. If you look at the backdrop, it's pretty nice outside, although it's very crisp. I'm missing the 50-degree weather, Jacob.
Yeah, same here.
I woke up, I was all excited. I got my sweatshirt on, and I walked out on the deck, and I went, oh, not today. So anyway, it's going to be a great show.
Yes.
Because I have a former Bison great on. He's going to be on, and he was a running back that played back in the, I want to say the thousands. No, it'd be the 80s. Because I was at Luther Hall. Maybe it was the 90s. Either way, you guys would know him as Raul Sanchez. We know him as Dr. Sanchez now. And as you guys know, I've kind of been going through it, the meat grinder of life the last 5 weeks. And last week I talked a lot about what I did along my journey to try to heal myself and try to get centered again in the wake of just life happening to me. So one of the people that I reached out to was I got to call him Raul or Smoke or Mr. Sanchez out. It should be Doctor because, hey, after all, he's earned it. But I reached out to him, and we talked a lot about the process of getting back to life, because the tragedies that befall us, they don't go away, and I call it the roller coaster effect. And when you lose somebody, and you have to go back to your life, a lot of times there's this thing where you almost feel guilty about going back to your life. You feel like, God, I should feel more terrible, or, I shouldn't enjoy this or enjoy that. And then the down part of the roller coaster comes. And there was a time last week where I just slept in because I didn't even feel like getting out of bed. And I slept in late, and it was like, I need to get up and do something. And so it's that roller coaster and trying to go from the highs to the highs to the lowest of lows and find some place where you can fit and still exist and still get your thing done. Well, I talked to Mr. Sanchez, and I said, you know what? I want to have you on my show because Raul has done a lot of work in the area of what we will call the healing mind, and I'm going to let him speak on it. But reading some of the things that him and his son Tyler. By the way, I have to tell you, Tyler's one of my favorite people because Raul and I used to go fishing back in the day. And I'll never forget Tyler. We went fishing on the lake, and just a fun kid. He's now a minister and happily married and a great family man. I follow him on Facebook. So with that great introduction or partial introduction, whatever you want to call it, hey, Raul, are you on?
I'm here, brother.
How are you today,
doing?
sir?
I'm feeling amazing.
I didn't get into all the flowery platitudes that is your life because this reads like a who's who. You've just done amazing things. So welcome to the show. I want you to talk primarily about the healing mind as well as now. It's funny because looking at your bio, I don't see anything about Bison football, which is amazing. And I don't know if that's on purpose or on accident, but a lot of people know you up here as a Bison great. So let's talk a little bit about what the Bison program gave you in terms of helping you move into who you are today.
Yeah, so I played. I came up in 1989 and played till '93. Graduated '94. So I was with Rocky Hager as a running back, I was behind Tony Satter, so I didn't get in until my sophomore year. But the amazing piece is I came up here married at 18, and we had a son. So my wife and I, a girlfriend back there, she got pregnant at 16. I was 17. And it's a whole nother talk. But basically, NDSU, Coach Sam did an amazing job of making me feel welcome. Had, on the itinerary married student housing, and had an interview with a married couple that allowed me to realize they see me as more than just, a player, because I told them, hey, I'm bringing my kid. I have a son. And so that process of NDSU taught me how to literally be disciplined. I have a buddy named Ben Newman, and he used to be the performance coach for NDSU, by the way. We're friends. And he has a saying. He's like, anyone can talk about being great, but let me have a conversation with your habits, and you can see who's great. And NDSU taught me, stop talking and just freaking do the work. And so as I did the work, a couple things happened. My athletic career took off, and I was a starter, and we won a lot. They called me the Sioux Killer back then because I stepped up at the end of the games. I was a fourth quarter horse. But the other piece is I stepped up with my ability to be a dad, and that's a whole other process because, growing up without a dad, my dad, as we're talking about loss, my dad killed himself. And so growing up without a dad was a wound I had. And so when coaches got on me, I worked hard to, get back in their graces. And then I could do that same thing in real time with my son. As you said, Pastor Tyler, we go back fishing in the day, and, John taught us how to catch some big old northern. Got my kid hooked on the bugs of northern. We'd take him out in the Red River and catch some small fish, and he's like, Dad, you need to call John, I'm like, all right, we'll give John a call, John put us on some fish. So the NDSU system, we call it the Bison way. It's, man, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late, and it's cheering everybody around you and celebrating wins. And even if you're not starting, you're there helping everybody else out. And that brotherhood has lasted with us. I meet any of the Bison brothers anywhere, and we hug it out like it was yesterday. And so then, thankfully, I got to take that on to the University of Iowa into my graduate program to get a PhD in psych, and then had another son there. And so now we got 4 kids, been practicing for, 25 years. And so this idea of the healing mind is literally like, my life's work. And so reaching out, helping a brother from another mother, that is Jon Adams, even though he wears purple and I bleed Detroit Lions. We're still brothers.
Man. And thank you for being on, Raul. We'll talk to you next. No, you know what? It's funny because I always tell my sons that you know who your friends are, because when you call them, it seems like no time has passed. And that's the way I feel about you also, brothers, that, knowing you and your family and your lovely wife, I mean, you're still the same great guy that you were when I met you, and I appreciate you being on the show. So let's talk about the healing mind itself, the concepts. If we start from the top, renewing the mind. Sorry about that. I got something in my throat. So what does it mean, and how is it implemented, if you want to give us a broad view?
Yeah, so the broad view, renewing the mind, is the ability to literally be transformed. And there's 3 steps. And the very first step is to stop conforming to what you knew. Okay? Stop conforming to what you knew. And that means you have to be able to renew your mind by seeing another perspective. There's got to be another way I can view death. And then step 2 is, once I view another way, I go back to that way that made me stuck, like, man, she's gone forever. And now I'm going to press into that pain. Your show last week, you talked about leaning into the pain, and that's 100% true. You got to lean in. And when you lean in, you have to lean into the part that hurts, because if you can't renew your perspective and see another way through it, you freeze. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes after that, diseases, trauma, and likely hoarding, anxiety. And so pressing in and moving through is that step 2. So step 1, renewing the mind, is you have to be able to see a new perspective. Step 2 is we move toward the uncertainty. We're going to lean into what sucks. And then the last piece is we're going to find what's awesome about what sucks. and then we flip it on its head. And that's where we find the silver lining, so to speak, or the gold nuggets, or that's where we find the family legacy, because out of my dad committing suicide birthed me to be, I didn't have, I had a goal to be an NFL player and that kind of thing, but it really didn't stick. It was just something you said. But my goal that I wrote down and prayed about every day was, I want to be the best dad ever. I want other kids as dad. I want other kids to talk about me as being their dad.
Right.
And that's where you push through that pain. And if I never would have told the story, and I never would have just acknowledged that my dad had mental health issues and committed suicide, and I didn't ever tell that story, I never would have moved through the pain.
Right.
I would move through 53 years of my life just be like, wow, how come I couldn't have a dad?
We do spend a lot of time avoiding, and I used to, when we were at Luther Hall, I used to talk about avoidance and avoiding the negativity, avoiding the things that hurt. And the interesting thing is you can't avoid it because it will always be there unless you deal with it. And that's something that we had to teach our kids, that you can't avoid anything in life. It's always going to be there. So you have to look at it and you have to press. So when we come back, we're going to continue with Dr. Raul Sanchez. Jacob says we're up against the break already. But when we come back, we're going to talk about how do we – so it's easy to say you need to lean into it. We're going to talk a little bit, how do we lean into these situations? How do we examine it? Because it's tough to do. And until you learn how to do it over and over, it almost seems like it's daunting. But when we come back, we're going to continue with Raul Sanchez. If you want to come in, Dr. Raul Sanchez. If you want to view the show, I do not have my laptop on, but you can go on WDAY's Facebook page, and you can watch Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. We'll see you on the other end of the break. If you want to call in.
Oh, actually, that is the Talk of the Town with Jon Adams Facebook page. That's where we're streaming the show at today, and on YouTube.
Go ahead. Say that again, Jacob.
It is Talk of the Town with Jon Adams on Facebook. That's where we're streaming our video today.
Perfect. We'll see you on the other end of the break. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000.
When you buy a Subaru, you're not just buying a car. You're buying safety, value, and trust for all the ones you love. That's why you see so many Subarus on the roads around you. Check out the new model selection available today, and be sure to ask about special low rates available now through April 1st during the Subaru A Lot to Love event. Stop in at Muscatel Subaru, just off Exit 1 in Moorhead. Subaru, built to last.
During National Ag Week, Satcham IMC, your local full-service dealer in Page, salutes the men and women in agriculture that keep us going. Agriculture plays an important part in our daily lives and provides almost everything we eat, use, and wear daily, and is increasingly contributing to fuel and other bioproducts. Contact Satcham IMC for all of your seed requirements, sales, service, and treating, and custom cleaning. Proudly serving area farmers since 1978. Satcham IMC, online at satchamimseed.com.
When it comes to ensuring your comfort in all weather conditions, look no further than Robert Gibb & Sons. With over a century of HVAC experience, their team is ready to deliver you quality service. From installation to maintenance and repairs, trust Robert Gibb & Sons to keep your home or business at the perfect temperature year-round. Right now, you can receive a free water heater with the purchase of a Bryant furnace and AC, extended through April 13th. Learn more about their heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services at robertgibb.com.
Are you tired of woke investment firms trying to push their political agenda onto your money? This is Brian Kronk, financial advisor at Collins & Kronk here in Fargo. If you are through with big East Coast companies and their ESG agenda, call Collins & Kronk for a consultation. See how we build a plan based on what matters to you. Call Collins & Kronk today, 701-235-0119. That's 701-235-0119. At Collins & Kronk, you matter.
Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member, FINRA, SIPC. Collins & Kronk is not a broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
It's Big Game, James McCarty.
And Jay Stenman. And you know what? There's no better place to watch the NCAA tournament games than at Sweet Shots.
We will be there live for the first day of the tourney, March 21st.
Join us from 11 to 1 inside DJ's Lounge.
You can enjoy a $12 lunch combo and a bucket of High Noon for $20 while watching all the games.
Or you can order a bunch of tasty wings and your favorite beverage.
With a TV at every bay, you can watch the games and hit balls all day long.
Join us Thursday from 11 to 1 at DJ's Lounge inside Sweet Shots in Fargo.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
This is Talk of the Town with Jon Adams on WDAY Radio.
Welcome to Ace Rodney, big talks for the superstars. Tonight, with guests, the incredible.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. Before we continue on with Dr. Raul Sanchez, I just wanted to say again, so this past week, due to stress, my shingles have flared up and the nerves in my back have been itching like crazy. So once again, if you have not had your shingle shot, please get your shingle shot. This has just been an ordeal to go through. And talking to my doctor, my eyes are messed up, my back hurts. All of these things are contributed directly to the shingles. So there's my PSA for the week, Jacob. So with that, we're going to go back to Dr. Raul Sanchez. So when we left, we were talking about renewing the mind, the first step in the process of healing the mind. So if you want to talk through that first step in the process, I would be forever indebted to you, sir.
No problem. Let's do it. So the first step is renewing your perspective. So we have to be able to see a different way. Like loss and death, it sucks. There's no way around it, and it's debilitating. And so the idea is everyone feels the pain. Everybody feels broken. Everybody feels stuck. Nobody wants to hear move on because that's wrong. Nobody can. And nobody also wants to hear like, hey, you just eventually would get over it. That's not how we do it. So the how to renew your mind is, I call it deploy the drone. So when you're in the thick of it, it's been said you can't see the forest through the trees, and that's true. So I need you to pretend I'm behind you. I'm 6 feet behind you and 6 feet above you, so I got a drone right behind your head. And you tap into my Wi-Fi and you look at the drone and you ask yourself a question. Hey, Sanchez, what does the drone see that I can't see? And now you can see some blind spots. And you can see a piece that you're missing. You can see a piece that's maybe making you stronger. You can start to see your sister's legacy. You can start to see like, wow, man, our family's closer. Wow, I don't think the same. I'm not as selfish as I was. Like, I don't snap as much as I do. And what we do is we take account of the positive lines that I now see, perspectives, and then I highlight the negatives, like the one that makes me stuck, like for a non-Christian to say, is there an afterlife? What do we do? For the Christian to say, okay, she's a Christian, she lived her life, she's prayed, like why now? Why her? Why not me? So those are the hard lines. Those are the ones we have to lean into because we'll get stuck. Okay, now once we identify those, the step 2 is we move toward the uncertainty. So now I'm going to talk to a friend and I'm going to say, hey, I need you. We're going to do some work here, and I have to talk about some things. I see someone to bounce some stuff off of. And now I'm going to identify the pain areas. Like, hey, I'm a Christian and I know she's in heaven, but I still have this thought to say, why would God take her, bro? Does God do that thing? Is that such a thing that God does? And I would be able to tell you, like, look, I don't really know, but here's what I know. I know that God, his hand was in this place, and he was here the whole entire time. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the hard work, and we're going to act like firefighters, and we're going to put on our gear, and we're going to go into the freaking stuff that sucks, and we're going to grab our shovels, and we're going to push the stuff around, and we're going to sift through the rubble, and I'm going to help you find the gold. I might look through pictures with you as a brother. I might ask you questions like, hey, how come you avoid this brother, but you talk to that brother? And I'm going to ask and push buttons, and I'm going to trigger you. Listen, a really, really good friend triggers you under safety. An excellent psychologist or therapist triggers you under safety, right? Everybody else says move on because nobody wants to trigger it, because you could trigger me by talking about your dad, and I'm going to worry about my dad, right. And we're not going to go there. We're just all going to pretend we're good. That's not what works. What works is we're going to push in like a firefighter. We're going to sift through the rubble, and we're going to find your sister's family legacy.
Right.
And stuff that you discover, you're going to call your nieces. You're going to be like, hey, listen to this. Listen to what I uncovered. Listen to what I found. Did you know that she spoke at the girls' club this year? Like, here's a video.
Right.
Okay? Now, what happens is sometimes is people try to move into that, and they get stuck. And when they get stuck, they have to shed. Shedding is like if I'm taking you on a backpack, trip, and I'm like, John, I know you like coffee, brother, but what the freak you bring a coffee machine for? There ain't no place to plug in up here in the mountains. And I hand you a couple bags of instant coffee, you know what I'm saying? So We're going to shed the things that are dead and no longer serve us. You might have thought like, hey, in a rainy day I might need this, but you don't need it. And speaking back to death and loss, there's things that you hang on to in the family, like maybe a fight that you had with your sister. Maybe you had some struggles like with an aunt and your sister got in between it. We're going to shed it all. And you can't shed it until you freaking identify it. Once you identify it, now we know, hey, is this serving me or is this making me stuck? Is this in my way? And I promise you this shedding is the heaviest process in it all, but people win or lose in this shedding step. Now, this is part of step 2, right? So step 1, we renew our mind by renewing our perspective. We deploy the drone. Step 2, we're moving into the uncertainty by identifying stuff that makes me stuck. And part of step 2 is shedding. We're going to shed the dead weight that no longer serves us, okay? And then the final step, step 3, is the ability to find what's awesome about that. On our podcast, you mentioned Tyler. He always hits that button on the podcast that goes like this. Wah, 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 wah. It's like that big old horn,
Right.
And we all start laughing because it's what's awesome about that. And I promise you, once you push into the pain and you find some of these gold nuggets, these gold legacies, dude, you can't help but praise God. You can't help but smile. You can't help but just be like, bro, they just keep coming. They just keep coming.
Right.
And as the Bible says, the mercies are new every morning. And once you press into this part, you find what's awesome. You look back at the drone that you started with, and you see all these different perspectives that I didn't see at first with death, and now I'm starting to find them. And then this is where we can say this, like, bro, every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father of lights, right? He's the one who gives us, our Heavenly Father gives us these awesome abilities. Even in death, there's life. Is this making sense?
Absolutely. I'm stuck right now because this is all pretty heavy. I'm taking notes because a lot of this was present as I went on this journey of trying to heal through my sister's death. And it's funny because some of those things certainly happened. And I can't wait. Number one, I'm going to share this with my family. And we have a family Facebook page where all of my cousins and my relatives can look at this because it is a most difficult process. Cindy was one of my most favorite people in life. And by all accounts, my sister was everybody's favorite. Cousins, uncles, aunts, everybody. And so it has been extremely difficult to move past it. And not necessarily move past it, but just get back to life. And so these little things that we talk about, I'm just sitting here dumbfounded. And Jacob will tell you, normally I'm not at a loss for words, but just taking all of this in. There's so many other things, so many other, I don't want to call them issues, but things that I look at now and I go, you know what? Oh, this is how I can reach my brother. This can help my sister. So all of these things, it's pretty much it's an eye opener. And you know what's interesting about this is one of many different systems that can be effective for you. You do have to find what works for you, but I always tell people, look, you got to start somewhere. You know, you got to start somewhere. Not everything works for everybody, but it's very important that you do find something. And I appreciate the words, and I appreciate you going through this because this is what we need in times like these. Now, we're talking about my sister's death in particular, and I'm glad that that's the example. But we can also lean into work issues. This doesn't necessarily have to be on a grand scale. Jacob's tapping against the glass and licking the window, so that must mean it's time for us to go to break. But when we come back, we're going to talk more with Dr. Raul Sanchez. If you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000. We'll see you on the other end of the break.
Do
Do you love working on cars but don't love your current job? If so, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Matthew Carlson, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care. We're a family-owned full-service auto repair shop looking to hire skilled automotive technicians. With our state-of-the-art shops, great work environment with competitive pay and benefits, you'll enjoy a great job with a bigger purpose and a lot of opportunity for advancement. Visit FixItForwardAutoCare.com to apply. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
Are you in need of a roof that can withstand all the elements? Look no further than Fargo Roofing and Siding, your local residential roofing experts. From repairs to replacements, we've got you covered with top quality materials and expert craftsmanship. Don't let a leaky roof rain on your parade. Trust Fargo Roofing and Siding to protect what matters most, your home and your family. Ready to elevate your home's curb appeal and peace of mind? Call to schedule your free estimate today or visit us online at fargoroofing.com.
Fargo Roofing and Siding.
Hello from the WDAY News Center. I'm Ty Schoenert with your news update. A woman rescued from a rollover crash landed in water near Underwood. The Ottertail County Sheriff's Office says they learned of the rollover crash at around 2:15 this morning. Authorities found the vehicle overturned in water in the 21,000 block of German Lake Road. The driver, 43-year-old Nicole Beauchamp, found trapped inside. After breaking the vehicle's sunroof, Beauchamp was taken to the nearby healthcare facility for non-life-threatening injuries. Authorities believe alcohol was a factor in the crash and are in the process of securing an additional search warrant. Fargo police want you to be aware of a high-risk sex offender's whereabouts. 53-year-old Chad Michael Klein, living at 727 14th Street North, convicted of gross sexual imposition in McLean County in 2000. His victim was a 31-year-old female. Klein, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, hazel eyes, and brown hair. Pictures posted on our website. And a proposal that would raise minimum wage in Minnesota to $15 an hour advancing to the state's Senate. The Labor Committee passing the measure yesterday, allowing it to be part of a larger employment bill to be considered later in the session. The proposal would raise minimum wage for all businesses to $15 an hour this year and mandate a $1.25 increase each year after that. The current minimum wage for large businesses, $10.85. The minimum wage for small businesses, $8.85. I'm Ty Schoenert with WDAY RadioNow.com. First at the news, one you need to know.
Pucklet Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City makes it easy to find your next Chevrolet Buick GMC or pre-owned vehicle by offering a great selection at our best prices possible.
Mostly sunny, breezy, and cool for this afternoon. We'll have highs in the upper 20s with a north wind around 10 to 20. Increasing clouds overnight tonight as we drop down to a low in the upper teens to near 20, and winds go lighter out of the north-northeast at 5 to 10. Clouds thicken up on Thursday, and light snow overspreads the area by late in the day. We'll have highs close to freezing. Snow continues Thursday night into early Friday morning with about 1 to 2 inches of snow likely. From the WDAY Skywatch Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki.
How are you sleeping these days? Swanson Hyperbarics has a natural therapy to help you feel better, have more energy, and get more sleep. It worked for me. I know it'll work for you too. Swanson Hyperbarics Oxygen Therapy proves to be an effective, non-invasive, anti-aging treatment. Plus, if you're dealing with pain, inflammation, you don't have to. Go to SwansonHyperbarics.com. That's SwansonHyperbarics.com or call 701-929-3930 today and start feeling better and sleeping better too.
Hi, I'm Bob from Lakeland General Store, and we are stocked up with Flow docks and lifts. Stop by and let me show you why Flow products are renowned for quality and innovation. They feature an easy level system that makes raising and lowering a breeze, plus effortless install and removal. Looking for flexible payment options? We've got you covered with great financing options on dock and lift purchases. If you're in the market for a new dock or lift, come see me at Lakeland General Store, just south of Detroit Lakes on Highway 59.
This is Talk of the Town with Jon Adams on WDAY Radio.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. So, along the lines of healing yourself and getting to where you need to be, last night I got some news that's sad for me, but it's great for Jacob. Jacob has taken a post at WDAY TV. He's not going to be my producer after March 31st, and I want to say that this year has been fantastic. You've helped me immensely. You've helped me grow, And it's funny, we kind of got this kinship, and so I'm going to have to use the healing mind to get over the fact that you're moving on, but I wish you all the best, and it has been a pleasure working with you, my man.
Yeah, same. It's been great working with you, John. It's always nice, like, meeting new people and working on new shows and then learning, okay, how does the show work and what is this person like and what do they like talking about? And honestly, man, it's been a blast working with you.
Yeah, well, I've had fun. I'm going to have to find – when I first met Jacob and he told me what he did, I said, well, you're Alfred. So he's been my Alfred to my Batman, and now I'm going to have to find a new Alfred. But as we know through the other Batman series that there have been many Alfreds, and I don't think anybody will do as good a job as you, but the next Alfred will come up and we'll push through. But best of luck, buddy.
Oh, thanks, John.
So as we continue on, Raul and I, during the break, we were talking about the fact that we actually got our start at Luther Hall, an entity of Lutheran Social Services, and that's where we met. And 30 years later, I'm on the radio, and we're having a conversation again about how do we help people. And so it's I always say it's interesting, but it's amazing the way the world works. And anybody that knows me, and I talk about it all the time, God does things for reasons, okay? And I never question that. I never question. I always say, well, you know what? God's got a plan. Now, a lot of times when tragedy strikes, we certainly don't think that because the things don't make sense. But I have to believe that because without my spirituality, I don't know how I get through these things. But so, Raul, we're going to continue on. One of the things that in the first part of the show that needs to be said is that we have to heal ourselves before we really be effective in healing other people. So leaning into this process of the healing mind, we start by these three, we start with these 3 steps, but then we move forward into what would you call rinse and repeat. So let's talk about that.
Correct. So we renew our mind by renewing our perspective, moving toward the uncertainty, finding what's awesome in the middle of the crap. And then the rinse and repeat part is literally, like we talk on the podcast, is now I get to try that system on another system. So like so now I'm renewing me and how I'm healing through a loss. But I'm further ahead now of my wife. So now I have to turn back and see what step she is. Is she stuck because she can't see a new perspective? Is she stuck because she's identified some pain points and she starts to move and get stuck? Now I have to help her shed. Or is she at the point where she's finding what's awesome about that, and she's like, hey, I cleaned this one area, and I'm good. I'm going to chill for a while. And now I got to go into my brothers and my sisters and other people in the process. And as we rinse and repeat, like anything in life, any 2 stimulus paired together in time become a habit. So think back to Pavlov and the dog, right? The bell rings and the dog salivate. So 2 things close in time become associated or one. Mm-hmm. The more we do this becomes who we are. And in that process, we don't move on. We move through. And so all of my sister's lessons, in your case, John, I can start to pull them apart, sift them, and now my sister has left me incredible nuggets from which to grow and teach.
Right.
And she becomes a part of my healing process from heaven. And then I push into work because maybe I have a boss that's totally understanding, and maybe you have a boss that totally doesn't get it. And so now we have to help them understand, like, look, I'm really renewing my perspective, and I deployed this drone, and I'm seeing multiple avenues where I'm doing great. There's a couple areas I'm stuck. You're going to have to just bear with me a little bit. I'm just going to be real with you in the process. And then that also helps us understand all the rest of the pieces of our life, which would be our health, our nutrition, our sleep, whether we take walks or whether we just, fall asleep at the desk. So that's where we rinse and repeat. We take this from an area of loss to actually an area of helping others, and then to another area of growth. And this is crazy to think about. But once you walk through the process, you now become what we call a Sherpa. And the Sherpa is the person who takes you on the trail hikes so you don't fall off a cliff.
Right.
Okay? And the Sherpa is the person who once was me, who got through the process and now turned back to help me walk through the process. And it's a crazy thing to think about. But you are most uniquely qualified to heal the person you once were. Let me say that again. You are the most uniquely qualified to heal the person you once were. So if I was stuck because I couldn't shed, I'm now an expert at helping people behind me shed. So I turn back and help people who I know are struggling. And it could be as simple as what happened with John and I. John's going through a loss, reaches out, we connect, and I'm like, whoa, bro, you got a show? Like, that's dope. And then we start talking and like, okay, well, how do people heal? And then he's like, you know what? Let's do this on the show. Like, just a reach out becomes like a healing process for not just John, but all listeners. And now we can document this where people can walk back through the process over and over and over.
Right. And so that would make you my Sherpa because you've been through. I'm becoming a Sherpa. Now I have to actually implement this, and like I said, I'm taking a ton of notes because reading over this, I had a chance to listen to Tyler's son. I had a chance to listen to Raul's son, Tyler, talk about the healing mind. These guys have got a ton of information. Let's talk about the YouTube, and let's talk about how people can get more information. I want to make sure I got this in. I'm kind of going off track, and I'm interrupting you. I apologize. But let's talk about where people get more information because I think it's so vital, particularly in this day and age. You know, I always tell people that you have to learn what buttons to push, you know, what levers to pull. So here's a button and a lever. So talk about how people can get more information about the healing mind.
Yes. So on YouTube, and you can search up anywhere where you can download podcasts or stream a podcast, Renewing the Mind podcast, just all together, no spaces. Renewing the Mind podcast. And that's my son, Pastor Tyler, and myself on the podcast. And we teach everything that has to do with family, healing, and then climbing. We also often talk a lot of time about climbing, and that's why I use a lot of climbing scenarios because I see any goal that we set is a climb, and we've got to move forward with people who are in our circle who trust us, and we trust them, so that if we fail or fall, we're not embarrassed and hide and quit. We just get back up and say, okay, what do I need to do? And we recycle the process, renew, move, find, renew, move, find. So that's YouTube. We also have a clinic called Renewing the Mind Clinic, so you can search us up on Facebook, Renewing the Mind Clinic, and you can follow us there, and I post some content there. I also have a book series coming out. It's actually called The Secret Process of Renewing the Mind. This part that we're going through right now is the intro, and then it's basically how to basically heal other areas of your life. And our story of having a baby at 16 and 17, both going to North Dakota State and getting degrees there, bachelor's degrees. My wife has a degree in child science. And so then we went to the University of Iowa and then started a clinic together. My wife is my office manager. She's literally the CEO, even though I wear that badge. So, like getting ready for the show and stuff like that, she helps me clear out the schedule and gets everything typed out and ready to go. So she's absolutely a star. So that's if you want more information on us and how we're pressing through. The first book is going to be called The Resilient Man. The second book is Resilient Dad. The third book is actually Resilient Spirit. So they're all in process. It was one book, but we're dividing it into three, and so this will be coming really quickly.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait. I know I'm going to make this part of my reading list as well as I'm really visual, so I like looking at stuff and listening to it. So if you're wondering how you can learn more about this, and it's renewing the mind, not heal the mind. I mean, because the healing mind is actually a different process. So we got to get past that because this is part of it. So it's renewing the mind. So with that, we're going to continue on. How much time we got there, Jacob, before we got to go to break?
You guys got about 2 minutes.
Okay, so we got about 2 minutes. So as you were talking, I was thinking, you know what? This is something that I'm going to talk to my wife about because, you know, what I've learned about marriage is that every day is a journey, you know, and being able to put some drones up around myself in regards to my wife and my marriage, as well as my kids, it's a new perspective. And I never thought about, you know, basically looking outside myself and examining. Typically, self-examination comes from within. And it usually comes from within selfishly where I'm like, oh, well, I'm not like that. Oh, well, I don't do that. Oh, yeah, I am a good person. But I think this outside perspective now, it kind of allows you to detach yourself from inner thinking and just it almost seems like you can't get away from what you see because you're not it's not internal.
Yeah, it's been said like this: the man with an experience is always greater than a man with an argument. So if you look at the drone and you see some data, it stops the argument. There's nothing to debate, bro. Like it's like a throwing the challenge flag, Lions versus Detroit. And, I'm like, hey, bro, stop crying. Look at the film.
Right?
Right?
The live eye in the
Exactly
sky
happened.
does not lie, as a coach used to say. Well,
That's correct.
Jacob says we're up against the break. When we come back, we're gonna wrap up this most fantastic show, in my opinion anyway. It has been a pleasure talking to Raul. When we come back, we're gonna put a nice bow on this. And remember, you're gonna be able to see this content on YouTube, or you're gonna be able to go to our archives and see it on our show page. So if you want to call in, the phone number is 701-293-9000. We'll see you on the other end of the break.
This is a shout out to all hardworking farmers and ranchers. If you're looking for the cream of the crop in post-frame construction, look no further than Thor Buildings. Because let's face it, having the right size building for your equipment or livestock is crucial for your success. At Thor Buildings, they'll design your building for max efficiency, customized to tackle the seasonal weather in your neck of the woods. Post-frame construction tailored to your livestock and ag needs. Buildings built better, stronger, and built to last. So when it's time to put the hammer down, build with Thor. Visit ThorBuildings.com today.
Quality Meats and Seafood in West Fargo is seeking meat cutting and processing associates. Ideal candidates would have a chef or meat department background. As an employee-owned company, Quality Meats and Seafoods offers profit sharing and exceptional benefits to include Blue Cross Blue Shield health, vision, and dental coverage, 401k with company match, and more. This full-time position is Monday through Friday with weekends off, and pay is commensurate with experience. Apply in person at Quality Meats and Seafood in West Fargo.
Are you tired of woke investment firms trying to push their political agenda onto your money? This is Brian Kronk, financial advisor at Collins & Kronk here in Fargo. If you are through with big East Coast companies and their ESG agenda, call Collins & Kronk for a consultation. See how we build a plan based on what matters to you. Call Collins & Kronk today, 701-235-0119. That's 701-235-0119. At Collins & Kronk, you matter.
Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member, FINRA, SIPC. Collins & Kronk is not a broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
This is Mark Wagner with ND Estate Services. Mainly, my job here is to help educate families on what your kids are going to have to go through someday. We show you how to avoid that probate at death, eliminate that legal guardianship when you're incapacitated, save taxes for your family, but most of all, how you can have that peace of mind for a peaceful private family settlement. Call us today, 701-318-0908. We'll talk to you soon.
This is Talk of the Town with Jon Adams on WDAY Radio.
We go from Lyra to Libra, from cold water to fever, to World War III, from the treaty signed in Geneva. The biology teacher said we used to be amoebas. The neighborhood preacher said we emerged from the ether. We converge from the...
Welcome back to Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. This has been the most interesting hour that I think I've had since the last time I said this is the most interesting hour that I've ever had. But, I do shows like this, and believe me, we're going to get back to the shows about small business. We're going to talk Viking football. We're going to talk Bison football. We're going to talk MSUM basketball, all these things. But, life is not always all fun and games. And I think for my show, I like to have content that helps people. I always said we want to move the needle forward for people in the community. We want to keep our community strong. And this is one of the things we do. Right now, I'm going through it. I reached out to Raul and Billy T. I cannot forget him because these are the guys that I lean on. I know you guys look at the radio and you hear my voice and you see me in public and you think, wow, man, this guy's got his stuff together. He's, how does he manage it? I manage it because I have a great support system. I have great people around me. And I try to surround myself with positivity. And I lean into my faith as a way to stay grounded. And I always like to say, I wasn't always the polished herd you see before me, but I'm working on it. And really what we're talking about in renewing the mind, a lot of us don't want to do the work. It's kind of like when you've been working and today's Wednesday, it's hump day, and you're ready to cash it in and you can't wait till Friday. The point is you still got to come to work on Thursday and do the work. So I like having these shows, and there are people that say, hey, let's just keep it light. Life isn't always light. So sometimes we do have to lean in these topics, and I like to believe that every show I've ever had has maybe helped somebody. Maybe there's been a nugget that people have been able to take away from it. So with that, we're going to continue on with Dr. Sanchez. Now, the interesting thing is, in addition to all of this, a wonderful family, a wonderful career, you're also a business consulting coach. And I don't know exactly what you call it, but I know that you work with businesses. So let's talk about what that is and how you incorporate renewing the mind into those relationships.
Yeah, exactly. So as we talked about, like, this process can be utilized anywhere, everywhere, with everybody. And I get that it's one system. It's one system that teaches you how to climb. And just like any expert climber, you can add on and engage in multiple systems after that. But this is a system that gets anybody up and running, so teach everybody how to climb. Now, businesses, yes, I coach businesses. I consult for businesses. And my favorite is to coach somebody who's a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive. And I just have them lay out the problem. And I'll give you an example. This guy is a multimillionaire, and he's got multiple businesses. And one of his questions is, okay, my question when we meet, he has a question of the day, and the question is, how do I deal with people that I don't like? And so, long story short, he started having a closed door policy. You have to schedule for meetings, and I started taking up his schedule. And I said, hey, man, let me help you. So we deploy the drone. And we say, when did this happen? How did this go down? And so we realized he lost somebody who was really good at helping people. So we discovered a hole. And then we had to push into that hole. So I said, so now until we hire somebody who can do this for you, keep your door open, because it's not about you having the answers. And this is the fundamental flaw for business people. I have to have an answer. I have to carry this. You don't. Just like you said at the break here, heading before break, like, you might not be the man in all spots, but you have a system where you can contact somebody who knows.
Right.
And so then people, your network, right, covers your blind spots. So we started open door policy, and I said to him, hey, listen very carefully. It's not that you know the answer. It's that you're willing to listen and that you're approachable. Approachability is everything when you're the boss. And so he started having the door open. I saw him 2 weeks later, and he was like, hey, it's really weird. You know, people stop in and say hi, and it's just real quick. And then at our 6-month review, he's like, I never would have guessed this, but one of my favorites, we talk about the WAP moment in business. What's awesome about that? What's awesome about that is he loves the open door policy, and he literally said this, quote, I love helping people with their problems. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? Are you sick, bro? Are you high? Like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, no. He goes, I did what you said. They come in, they dump on me, I reflect back to them, I walk them through the steps, they come up with their own idea, and I just, they're like, hey, just showing them the trails like the Sherpa. And, dude, business is flourishing. Like he literally makes a lot of money since I'm helping him. And I'm not here to tell you I'm the financial businessman, because I'm not. If you're just looking strictly money-wise, profits, bottom line, I'm not your guy. I'm your guy to help you level everybody else around you. That's me. So, and you can find me at drraulsanchez.com. Fill out an application for executive coaching. That's what we do. And this is exactly how we deploy the drone in business, helping people understand how they can spend their energy and double down on their strengths and double down on their habits that got them to be successful in the first place. There's no reason for us to be spending time on our weaknesses. We hire out for that.
Wow. That's a mouthful. And so you were talking about an event that you're going to, Mastermind?
Yeah. So Ben Newman, again, he's the guy who used to be the performance coach for NDSU.
Okay.
He's got a mastermind summit. It's called Ben Newman Summit. It's down in St. Louis. It's April 12th through the 14th. You can probably still get tickets to go to Ben Newman's event, and then I'm piggybacking the event. I'm taking 10 guys down to St. Louis, and we're going to see a hockey game. We see the Blues there. And then we're going to Ben Newman's event on Saturday, and then on Sunday I'm teaching a mastermind literally called How to Edit Yourself. And it's a deep dive on the drone work.
How to edit yourself. Some people would say that I would need to take that class because I don't edit much. I think that's probably one of the reasons that I'm able to go off the cuff and do this radio show sometimes on the fly when things don't.
So let me ask you something real quick. I know you're a golf guy. So, like, if you saw my golf swing, you would see I'm wasting way too much energy sideways, hip, so you would streamline my stroke, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do with editing. You don't have to edit. You'll be successful anyways. But if you edited, you'd be way more productive and way more efficient. in golf terms, you'd hit the ball further and better, more accurate, right?
Nice. I think the overall thing that I'm thinking is that it takes a lot to get to where you want to be, and there's a lot of self-examination that takes place, and that's hard to do. You know,
yes,
like I
really
said, my wife and we went to counseling, and I found out some things that I didn't want to know about myself, and at the top of the list was I was pretty selfish, and so we don't like to hear those things, but you know, in order to be married, you have to learn to be unselfish, and so that was one of the things. But Jacob is looking intently at me. We've got about a minute left. The time always goes too fast. Remember, people, you can call in and tell Steve Hallstrom that I deserve an extra hour here so we can have Raul on a little longer. Mr. Sanchez, I want to thank you for being on the show. I can't wait to listen to this show back because there's so much information, and I appreciate you, and definitely we're going to have you back next month because I want to do a follow-up show having implemented Renewing the Mind. That is correct, Renewing the Mind?
That's correct,
Perfect.
Renewing the Mind.
Putting this system in place as well as giving these nuggets to my family and friends and have them implemented. But again, we talk about Talk of the Town, you know, growing our community and helping us all be in this. We're all in this together. So with that, I want to thank Dr. Sanchez for being on the show. I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. This has been Talk of the Town with Jon Adams. And as always, hey, stay black.
Studied up in Berkeley and Juilliard. All my bars is hard as solid gold bullion. My name in the Quran like the kingdom of Suleiman. You done lost your mind trying to call me a Mulion. Cause in 215.
Mixed action in the market trade at midday Wednesday. This is the American